Understanding your self-worth is the foundation of loving yourself enough to let someone go. It begins with recognizing that your value as a person does not depend on someone else's validation, approval, or attention. Too often, we tie our self-esteem to how others perceive us, especially in relationships. When we rely on someone else to define our worth, we give them control over our emotions and identity. But self-worth is something that comes from within. It is about knowing who you are, embracing your uniqueness, and believing that you deserve love, respect, and happiness without conditions. When you truly understand your self-worth, you begin to see that staying in a relationship or connection that drains you emotionally is not an act of loyalty or love, it's an act of self-neglect. You may find yourself holding on because you fear rejection or loneliness, or because you've convinced yourself that your happiness depends on the other person. But these feelings often come from a place of insecurity, not reality. The truth is, you are whole and complete as you are, and no one else can give you the love and value that you should first give to yourself. Understanding your self-worth means learning to prioritize your needs and well-being. It's not selfish, it's necessary. When you neglect your own feelings to keep someone else happy, you send a message to yourself that their happiness matters more than yours. Over time, this can lead to resentment, frustration, and a sense of losing yourself. But when you love yourself enough to prioritize your well-being, you create space for healthier, more balanced relationships. You start to attract people who respect you because you set the standard for how you deserve to be treated. One of the most empowering realizations is that your worth is not diminished by someone else's inability to appreciate you. People's opinions and actions are often reflections of their own insecurities or limitations, not a measure of your value. If someone takes you for granted, disrespects you, or doesn't see your worth, it says more about them than it does about you. Loving yourself means not internalizing their behavior as a reflection of your value. Instead, you recognize that you deserve better and have the courage to walk away when necessary. Part of understanding your self-worth is letting go of the fear of being alone. Many people stay in unfulfilling relationships because they fear the silence, the solitude, or the idea of starting over. But being alone is not the same as being lonely. In fact, solitude can be one of the most powerful ways to reconnect with yourself, discover your passions, and rebuild your confidence. When you spend time alone, you learn to rely on yourself for emotional fulfillment rather than looking for it in someone else. You become your own source of strength and joy, which makes you less likely to settle for anything less than you deserve. Another important aspect of self-worth is setting boundaries. Boundaries are not about shutting people out, they're about protecting your energy and ensuring that your relationships are mutually respectful. When you set boundaries, you're sending a message that your time, feelings, and needs are valuable. You're also teaching others how to treat you. Without boundaries, it's easy to fall into patterns of overgiving, overcompromising, or accepting behavior that undermines your self-esteem. Loving yourself means having the courage to say no when something doesn't align with your values or well-being. Lastly, understanding your self-worth allows you to trust yourself. You stop doubting your decisions or seeking constant reassurance from others. You become confident in your ability to make choices that serve your highest good. This trust in yourself is what gives you the strength to let go of people or situations that no longer serve you. It's not about bitterness or anger, it's about self-respect and knowing that you deserve relationships that uplift and support you. When you understand your self-worth, you realize that letting go is not a loss, it's a gain. It's an act of love for yourself, a step toward freedom, and a way to open the door to better opportunities and relationships. Letting go isn't easy, but it's a powerful way to honor the person you are and the life you deserve to live. The power of letting go is one of the most transformative acts of self-love. It's not an act of defeat or failure, but a courageous step toward reclaiming your peace, identity, and purpose. Letting go means releasing what no longer serves you, be it a relationship, a connection, or even a dream that is causing more harm than good. Often we hold on tightly because of fear of loss, fear of change, fear of what might come next. But in reality, holding on to something or someone that no longer fits your life can be far more damaging than the fear of letting go. Letting go requires a deep understanding that not everything is meant to stay. People enter our lives for different reasons, and while some are there to support and grow with us, others are lessons meant to teach us something about ourselves. When a relationship or connection no longer aligns with your values or contributes positively to your life, holding on can drain your energy and rob you of opportunities for growth. It's not about giving up on people, but recognizing when the chapter with them has reached its natural conclusion. One of the most liberating truths about letting go is that it creates space for new possibilities. When you cling to something that's not working, you're effectively closing the door to better opportunities, whether that's a healthier relationship, a fulfilling goal, or even personal growth. Letting go is an act of faith, a way of telling yourself that you trust the future and trust yourself to navigate it. It's a declaration that you believe you are worthy of more than what you're settling for. However, letting go isn't just about physical separation, it's also about emotional release. Even after leaving a toxic relationship or stepping away from a harmful situation, many of us carry the emotional weight of that experience, resentment, regret, or longing. Letting go truly begins when you free yourself from that emotional burden. It means forgiving not necessarily the other person, but yourself for any perceived mistakes or missteps. It means accepting the situation as it is without wishing it had turned out differently. This emotional release is what allows you to move forward unencumbered, ready to embrace the next chapter of your life. It's important to acknowledge that letting go can be painful. There's a natural grieving process that comes with releasing someone or something that once meant a lot to you. You might feel sadness, anger, or even guilt. These emotions are valid, and it's crucial to allow yourself to feel them rather than suppress them. But remember, the pain of letting go is temporary. It's the pain of holding on to something that's not meant for you that lingers indefinitely. In time, the act of letting go brings clarity, healing, and a renewed sense of self. One of the most surprising gifts of letting go is the perspective it provides. When you step back from a situation, you often gain insights you couldn't see while you were in the midst of it. You begin to understand patterns, recognize red flags you may have ignored, and learn more about what you need and deserve in your life. This perspective is invaluable because it equips you to make better choices moving forward. Letting go is not just an end, it's also a beginning, a chance to rewrite your story with greater wisdom and purpose. Letting go also sends a powerful message to yourself and others that you respect yourself enough to walk away from anything that doesn't align with your values or well-being. It's an act of self-empowerment, a way of reclaiming your time, energy, and emotional health. When you let go, you're saying, "I deserve better," and that declaration sets the tone for how others will treat you moving forward. It establishes boundaries and reinforces the idea that your happiness is non-negotiable. Ultimately, letting go is an act of trust, not just in the universe or life's unfolding, but in yourself. It's about believing in your strength to endure, your ability to heal, and your capacity to create a life that reflects your worth and aspirations. Letting go is not about loss, it's about making space for everything you deserve and more. It's a step that requires courage, but it leads to freedom, growth, and self-discovery. Embracing the freedom to heal is one of the most important and empowering gifts you can give yourself. When you let go of someone or something that no longer serves your well-being, it creates space for self-discovery, growth, and emotional recovery. Healing is not an overnight process, it's a journey. And the first step is allowing yourself the freedom to feel everything that comes with it, the pain, the sadness, the relief, and eventually the joy of rediscovery. By letting go, you open the door to truly understanding yourself, your needs, and your worth outside of the shadow of that relationship or attachment. Healing begins with acknowledging the hurt. Many of us try to numb our emotions or distract ourselves, hoping that the pain will fade away. But healing requires courage. It's about facing the discomfort and accepting it as a natural part of the process. You have to sit with your feelings, name them, and allow yourself to experience them fully. This isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. By confronting your emotions, you give yourself permission to process them, which is a necessary step toward moving forward. Ignoring your feelings only delays the healing process and keeps you tethered to the past. When you embrace the freedom to heal, you also begin to detach from the narrative that your happiness depends on someone else. For too long, you may have looked to another person to provide validation, love, or a sense of purpose. But healing teaches you that these things must first come from within. You start to understand that your worth is not defined by another person's ability or inability to see it. This realization is both liberating and empowering because it shifts the focus back to you. It allows you to reclaim your identity and rebuild your sense of self on your own terms. Healing also involves unlearning old patterns and habits that may have contributed to the pain. Perhaps you stayed in a situation too long because you feared being alone or because you believed that your love could change the other person. These patterns often stem from deeply rooted beliefs about yourself and relationships. The freedom to heal gives you the opportunity to examine these beliefs, challenge them, and replace them with healthier ones. It's a chance to break cycles that no longer serve you and to set new standards for how you want to be treated moving forward. During the healing process, it's important to surround yourself with positive influences. This might mean leaning on supportive friends and family, seeking therapy, or immersing yourself in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. Healing doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when you allow yourself to be nurtured by love and positivity, whether it comes from others or from within yourself. You may find that as you heal, you naturally gravitate toward people and environments that reflect the peace and happiness you're cultivating inside. Another essential aspect of healing is practicing self-compassion. It's easy to fall into the trap of blaming yourself for what went wrong or dwelling on what you could have done differently. But healing requires forgiveness not just for the other person, but for yourself. It's about recognizing that you did the best you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. Instead of criticizing yourself, offer yourself the same kindness and understanding you would give to a friend. Self-compassion is a powerful tool for building resilience and moving forward with grace. As you heal, you'll start to notice a shift in your perspective. What once felt like an unbearable loss begins to feel like an opportunity for growth. You start to see the lessons in the experience, the ways it has made you stronger, wiser, and more attuned to your needs and boundaries. Healing doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means integrating the experience into your life in a way that empowers you rather than diminishes you. It's about transforming pain into wisdom and using that wisdom to build a brighter future. Ultimately, embracing the freedom to heal is about choosing yourself. It's about recognizing that you deserve the time, space, and effort it takes to become whole again. Healing is not a straight path. There will be moments of struggle and setbacks. But every step you take, no matter how small, is a step toward freedom, self-love, and a life that aligns with your true worth. And that is a journey worth taking. Letting them experience your absence is not about playing games or seeking revenge. It's about creating the space for others to reflect on your value and the impact you brought into their lives. When we stay in someone's orbit, even when the relationship no longer feels fulfilling or healthy, we unintentionally make it easy for them to take us for granted. It's human nature to undervalue what is always available. By stepping away, you allow the reality of your absence to speak louder than any words ever could. It's a profound reminder that your presence was a gift, not a given. When you remove yourself from someone's life, it forces them to confront what they've lost. Often, people only realize the significance of a person when they are no longer there to lean on, to share moments with, or to provide the support they had come to expect. It's in the silence, in the empty space you leave behind, that the magnitude of your presence becomes clear. This isn't about creating suffering for them. It's about respecting yourself enough to not settle for less than you deserve and letting the other person see what they might have overlooked. Experiencing your absence gives others the opportunity to grow, just as it gives you the chance to heal and rediscover yourself. Sometimes people can't see their own behavior clearly until they are confronted with the consequences. Your absence can serve as a mirror, reflecting back to them the ways they may have taken your kindness, love, or energy for granted. It can also give them the time and space to evaluate their own actions and choices, something they may not have done if you had remained present despite feeling undervalued. This act of stepping away isn't just for them, it's primarily for you. It's a declaration of your self-worth and a boundary that says, I will not stay where I am not appreciated. When you choose to let someone experience your absence, you give yourself the gift of peace and the opportunity to focus on your own needs, dreams, and growth. You free yourself from the emotional burden of trying to fix or maintain something that was not balanced or reciprocal. This freedom is empowering because it reminds you that you are not dependent on anyone else for your happiness or sense of worth. While they are experiencing your absence, you are also rediscovering your presence. You begin to realize how much energy you were investing in the relationship and how that energy can now be redirected toward yourself. Maybe it's pursuing a hobby you had put on hold, spending quality time with loved ones, or simply enjoying the peace that comes from no longer carrying the weight of an unbalanced connection. This time apart allows you to refocus on your own growth and happiness, which ultimately makes you stronger and more self-assured. It's important to understand that letting someone experience your absence doesn't guarantee they'll come back or even that they'll recognize what they've lost. And that's okay. The goal isn't to manipulate or control their response, it's to honor your own value and create a healthier dynamic, whether that means reconciliation or moving on entirely. If they do realize your worth and make an effort to re-enter your life, it will be from a place of mutual respect rather than dependence or obligation. If they don't, then their absence creates room for someone who will truly appreciate and value you. Absence also has a way of clarifying things for you. It allows you to step back and evaluate the relationship from a distance. You might realize that what you were holding on to wasn't as fulfilling or healthy as you had hoped. Or you might recognize patterns that you couldn't see while you were in the thick of it. This clarity is a gift because it helps you make decisions that are aligned with your well-being and self-respect. Ultimately, letting them miss you is an act of love both for yourself and for them. It's about letting go of control and trusting that whatever is meant to be will unfold naturally. It's about prioritizing your own peace while giving others the chance to grow, reflect, and truly see what you bring to the table. Whether they return or not, you will have gained something invaluable, a deeper connection with yourself and the unshakable understanding that your worth does not depend on anyone else's recognition of it. Learning to set boundaries is one of the most essential acts of self-love and self-respect. It can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're someone who has always prioritized the needs and feelings of others over your own. But setting boundaries isn't about being selfish or unkind. It's about protecting your peace, valuing your energy, and ensuring that your relationships are rooted in mutual respect and understanding. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define what you will and will not accept in your interactions with others. They are not walls to keep people out, but rather guidelines that teach people how to treat you. Establishing boundaries begins with self-awareness. You need to understand what makes you feel safe, respected, and valued versus what leaves you feeling drained, unimportant, or disregarded. This might mean taking some time to reflect on past experiences where your boundaries were crossed and recognizing the emotional toll those situations took on you. Self-awareness allows you to identify your limits and articulate them clearly to others. It's about being honest with yourself first, so you can then be honest with the people in your life. Communicating your boundaries can be challenging, especially with those closest to you. There's often a fear of conflict or rejection, but it's important to remember that expressing your needs is not about creating tension, it's about fostering healthier relationships. When you set a boundary, you're not just protecting yourself, you're also giving the other person a chance to understand you better and to align their behavior with your expectations. A healthy relationship should have room for these conversations because they are rooted in mutual care and respect. Boundaries also teach people how to value your time and energy. If you've always been the person who says yes to every request, even at the expense of your own well-being, it's likely that others have come to expect that from you. But constantly overextending yourself to meet others' needs can lead to burnout, resentment, and a loss of self. By setting limits, you're saying my time and energy are important too. This not only protects you from being overwhelmed, but also shifts the dynamic so that your needs are equally prioritized in the relationship. It's important to understand that setting boundaries isn't about changing other people, it's about changing how you respond to them. You can't control how someone else behaves, but you can control what you tolerate and how you react. If someone repeatedly disregards your boundaries, it's a signal that they may not respect you or your well-being. In such cases, enforcing your boundaries might mean reducing your interactions with them or even stepping away entirely. This can be difficult, especially if it's someone you care about, but it's a necessary step to protect your mental and emotional health. Setting boundaries is also an act of self-empowerment. It reinforces the idea that you are responsible for your happiness and well-being. When you take control of your boundaries, you're no longer waiting for others to treat you well, you're ensuring it yourself. This shift in mindset can be incredibly liberating. You begin to realize that you don't have to tolerate behavior that doesn't align with your values or respect your needs. You start to prioritize your peace and happiness without guilt or apology. One of the most beautiful things about setting boundaries is that it often strengthens your relationships. While it might feel counterintuitive, boundaries create clarity and reduce misunderstandings. When people know where you stand, they're less likely to unintentionally overstep or cause hurt. Healthy boundaries build trust and respect because they show that you value yourself enough to communicate your needs and that you value the relationship enough to be honest about what works for you. Ultimately, setting boundaries is about choosing yourself. It's about recognizing that you deserve relationships that uplift and respect you, not ones that drain or diminish you. It's about creating a life where your needs, values, and well-being are non-negotiable. Boundaries are not just a tool for managing relationships, they're a powerful expression of self-love and an essential part of living authentically and peacefully. Prioritizing self-love and healing over chasing someone's attention is a revolutionary act of self-respect. So often, we become entangled in the need for validation, craving acknowledgement from someone who may not have the capacity or willingness to meet us where we are. But when you shift that energy inward, when you decide that your peace, your growth, and your happiness are more important than someone else's recognition, you create a powerful transformation in your life. This shift is not just about walking away from unhealthy dynamics, it's about reclaiming your power and rediscovering your worth. Focusing on self-love is not about neglecting others, it's about making yourself a priority in your own life. Too often, we are conditioned to believe that love requires self-sacrifice to the point of self-neglect. But true love, whether for yourself or others, cannot thrive in a space of depletion. It requires a foundation of self-respect and self-nurturing. By investing in yourself, your well-being, your passions, your dreams, you're not only creating a more fulfilling life for yourself, but also setting the standard for how you deserve to be treated by others. Healing is an integral part of this journey. It requires you to confront the wounds and patterns that have kept you tethered to unhealthy attachments. Healing doesn't mean erasing the past, it means integrating it in a way that empowers you rather than diminishes you. It's about acknowledging the pain, the disappointments, and the lessons, and then choosing to release the hold they have on you. This process is deeply personal and often nonlinear, but every step forward is a testament to your resilience and your commitment to yourself. When you prioritize healing, you give yourself the space to reflect on what truly matters to you. You begin to recognize the patterns that have held you back, whether it's seeking validation from unavailable people, ignoring red flags, or placing your worth in the hands of others. This awareness is the first step toward breaking free from those cycles. It allows you to redefine what love and connection mean to you and to align your actions and choices with those new definitions. Self-love also involves celebrating yourself, not just in your moments of success, but in your moments of struggle. It's about showing yourself the same compassion and kindness you would offer to a friend. Instead of criticizing yourself for what went wrong, you begin to see your efforts and intentions in a new light. You start to appreciate your own courage, your capacity to love deeply, and your willingness to grow. This shift in perspective is transformative because it reinforces the idea that you are already whole and worthy regardless of anyone else's approval. As you focus on self-love and healing, you naturally start to detach from the need for external validation. This doesn't mean you stop valuing connections with others, it means those connections no longer define your worth. You begin to approach relationships from a place of abundance rather than lack, offering your love and energy freely, but also discerning when it's not being reciprocated. This clarity allows you to set healthier boundaries and to walk away from situations that no longer serve your highest good. Choosing self-love over chasing someone's attention doesn't mean you won't feel the sting of rejection or loss. Those feelings are natural and valid, but they no longer have the power to derail you. Instead of questioning your value, you start to see those moments as opportunities to grow and align more closely with your authentic self. You begin to trust that what is meant for you will come into your life without you having to chase or compromise your worth. Ultimately, prioritizing self-love and healing is about creating a life that reflects your true value. It's about stepping into your power, embracing your worth, and refusing to settle for anything less than what you deserve. It's about choosing peace over chaos, growth over stagnation, and self-respect over desperation. This choice not only transforms your relationship with yourself, but also elevates every connection you have, attracting people and experiences that align with the love and respect you've cultivated within.